Welcome back, everyone. We have Sam Shankland and Nico Georgiadis who just finished their game. First, let's ask you, how do you both feel about the game and what happened, because it was quite a roller coaster. So Sam, let's start with you. It's on.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm certainly happy to start the tournament with a win, particularly a win with Black. I knew that playing, in a tournament, a relatively short one like this one, with only 7 games, it's not like white on Zay, an extra white really matters. So starting with Black, I knew was going to be tough, particularly against Nico, who has not the highest rating, but is extremely solid. And I was really struggling before the game to figure out what to do. And in fact, I barely spent any time preparing for E4 on the first move. And I think this game was full of mistakes, and I certainly was not supposed to win at some point, or maybe multiple points, but I'm glad I was able to put enough pressure to bring home the win.
Yeah. And Nico?
After that, I think everything is said. I was suffering from the beginning, I think. Okay, position should have been equal, but I think it's Black who's always making pressure. And well, yeah, he provoked my mistakes, and I think that's why I lost the game at the end. I got a bit short of time, also. That's maybe one of the reasons.
Yes. So why don't we go over the game very quickly? And yeah.
Is it on now? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I played this Queen C7 move, which is kind of a clever move order, because if you castle first, and after castles, now after Queen C7, white can play Knight D5. So by starting with Queen C7 here, white cannot go Knight D5, and basically I wanted to get a Bishop E6 position like the one I got, except if I had started with castles and Bishop E6, white has the option of Bishop takes E6, which I think is a little annoying for Black. And here I forget exactly what's going on. I didn't even check Bishop E3, Knight F3 at all before the game. I don't think Queen E2 is best. I don't remember much, but I believed that after Rook C8, Black is absolutely fine, because his plan with B5 and Knight BD7 is extremely straightforward. White can certainly play in other ways than Nico did, but it can hardly be wrong to just put his pieces in the center and develop. After Rook AC1, Knight BD7, here it was also possible for him to... First of all, when I played B5, I had to choose between Knight BD7 or B5 first, but if Knight BD7, I disliked A4. So after B5 here, he could have tried to punish me with A4. And now I can play either B4, which I wasn't sure about after something like Knight D5 takes. Now if white plays A5 and Bishop A4, I'll probably just be worse, so I should play A5. And I think after something like Knight D2, this could be annoying. So after A4, my plan was actually to chop this one and play B4. And here, after Knight D5, I'm one move away from being completely lost. If he just goes Knight D2 to C4, I can stop the clocks, this game is finished, but somehow I just don't think white is in time. It's very hard to deal with Knight F6. For example, if he plays this, if he just gets like one more move to play something, I don't know, he should just win. But after Queen C2, I'm making a lot of counterplay. Knight takes C4 is a threat, Queen takes B2 is a threat, so I couldn't figure that out. Anyhow, after Rook AC1, Knight BD7, Bishop G5, this was my first serious thought, but then I understood that actually it's important to provoke this exchange, even though white, by playing Bishop G5, clearly wants it. The threat is stronger than the execution. For example, my first instinct was this. And the problem is here, specifically because I have not yet played H6, I cannot play Rook takes C3 and Knight takes E4, because if this exchange had happened, then the exchange sacrifice should be very strong. In addition, I found that in the game, white's rook was misplaced on D5, and it is better on D1. After H6, I don't know, Nico, you have anything interesting to say about this?
Yeah, that's actually what was our surprise, because we also the first time here we thought that that was white's idea to capture the knight.
I think by forcing him to do it now, for example here, if he tries to play A3 and keep the tension, and then let's say eventually swing this knight to D5 like that, which is sort of the typical line, here we can see the same variation. That now I'm ready to do this because after, say, Rook C6, Knight F1, I'm chopping on C3. It's very important that this bishop is gone. And here I think black is better. He'll play Rook A C8 and probably chop on C3 very quickly, and white doesn't really have a good answer. So that was sort of my point, was that this rook takes c3 will become available when the bishop has been exchanged. In any case, we got this position, which I'm sure has to just be equal. Nico proposed that rook a1 may have been a safer route to the draw.
To avoid the pin on the diagonal.
Yes, and during the game my plan was rook d4. I believed this position was probably a bit promising for black if the rook is no longer on c1 to protect this pawn so that rook c8 comes, but I neglected to realize that after something like knight b3 here, there is one benefit of the rook not being on c1, which is that he can play c3 without being pinned. And this, I think, is a draw on the spot. I don't think I can avoid this repetition. So this, I think, would have been I don't know if I have to force a draw right now, but this certainly would have worked.
Yeah.
I don't think a3 is wrong, though. Rook c8, and now if c3, I think rook d4 is at least a little annoying for white. King f1, we sort of thought wasn't best, but even that, I think, is fine.
See, maybe g3.
Yeah.
So maybe g3 immediately was a bit better than king f1.
Yeah.
I think king f1 is fine.
Yeah, it should be still drawish. After g3, after bishop g5, I should have taken on d6 and
Well, we weren't sure because
rook takes e4 and g3.
in g3
Yeah.
and this should be a draw.
Yeah.
At least I couldn't see a way to avoid a draw here. It's important not to play c3 because this is quite nice. Rook d4, and now black wins after g3 check. And or at least is much better. I mean, you can play g3 and you don't resign yet, but I can either take d2 and take all the pawns, or just play rook e2. It should be lost. But after g3, this opens some options for me because I went rook c6. And the problem is now rook takes e4 is, well, I don't know if it's going to be that fantastic, but it's coming. And it's not so easy to stop, because if white were to play f3, then I believe b4 is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
b4 is probably actually the bigger threat. In this position, I think white's dropping material directly. For example, b3 takes rook b3, and if rook d6 there's rook takes f3 check. So I think black is very good winning chances here. So c3, as Nico played, is probably best. And now, I think if I don't give the piece, I'm definitely not going to win this game. But my gut feeling is white has to be okay here, but I thought practically it should be better, easier with black. So f4. And
Yes.
here,
Here I have a question for Nico, actually. When you went with the king to g2 and later on to h1, like for example in this position, were you playing for the win, or was there a point for the defensive? Maybe Sam can answer it too, because we were not.
I was never playing for the win. No, obviously,
We-
after problem is with king e2, for instance, black plays rook h4, I think,
Rook h4, yeah.
and rook h3 after knight f3. So the king has to protect his h pawn. I think that's the.
And what if you go knight f1 instead of knight f3? Doesn't change anything?
Okay, I think f5, and if my knight is passive, I think it's so much easier for black to.
here-
Oh no,
But
rook d1.
if you go
sorry.
rook d1,
but
yeah.
after
King
king,
f8,
after
yeah.
king e2, I don't know why I start with rook h4. I can do that whenever I want. I don't have to start with f5.
Oh yeah.
I mean, basically here I think white is doomed to lose if he just tries to defend with his knight on the king side. He needs to make some kind of counterplay. And I think king g2 is I think king g2 is correct, and I think king h1 was correct. Here, for example, if white were to try to like stay sort of centralized but still able to meet rook h4 with king back to g2, I think after rook c4 that white is just busted. For instance,
Oh, okay. That's the point we missed.
yeah, rook takes d6, and this is just going to fall apart very quickly. For instance, king e3, rook h4. And I think, white's king is almost getting mated in some lines. I think king h1 was absolutely correct and completely forced. The only thing that surprised me about it was that he took 3 minutes and 50 seconds to play it. But here it's not easy at all. I'm like one tempo away from just winning. If my king comes to e6, this game is finished and there's nothing else to say. But I'm sort of one tempo shy. For instance, if I start with king f7, knight f5, if I go king e6, he can take b5 or e5 or something, and I don't know how promising that is. And if I play rook b6, he can play c4, and after king e6, he has c5.
Yeah.
Now white is probably winning. So I'm just sort of one move away from just winning the game. I don't know if I had to play f4. I sort of wanted to get my king, but I couldn't see how. I could play something like rook g6, just trying to be much slower and not worry more about containing counterplay and try to slowly advance the pawns, but somehow I didn't believe in this. I thought that white should be okay.
Yeah.
So I went for this very direct continuation.
C4.
Yes, I think this all was fine. Yes.
Yeah, there was some question around this point. Nico, did you consider the plan of rerouting the knight from d2?
Yeah, knight d2 is a mistake, but you should start with rook d1 first.
Rook d1, yeah.
Yeah,
Rook
because the
d1.
problem, it's very important actually. If knight d2, I can go king f7, knight e4, king e6, rook d1, and f3, and black is winning. But
Sorry, just a moment. Here, if after king f7 I go rook e1
why can I not play king e6?
and rook d3,
Okay, but I should be very comfortable here.
yeah.
I don't know, something a5, g5, just start throwing pawns and asking questions later. This feels
Yeah.
very strong. But
And,
I think if he starts instead with,
Rook d1.
yes, rook d1 I believe was the best move. And now, because if I play rook g6 now, he will play knight d2.
Yeah.
And here, if I put my king on e7 and he puts the knight on e4, I think this is mutual stalemate. I don't think anybody can ever make a move, actually. I think we just would make a draw very quickly. So I was thinking after rook d1, I could just pitch the pawn, but it's not so easy to do because if I start with e4, he can go rook g1, and the problem is it's very hard for me to include this rook.
Exactly.
So I thought I could try, for instance, instead of rook g6 playing f3, when the game would go rook f1, rook f4, and now rook d3 just before I can play g5, g4. And after e4, we get a very interesting position like this one. My guess is it's equal, but I wouldn't actually be surprised if either side is completely lost and I'm too stupid to realize it. It might
Most
just-
probably be black.
I think black is better, yeah? Or
Yeah, I mean, it's like the pawn chain moved one
I
step
don't
forward.
know, but this knight is perfectly blockading. I can't move any further, and at some point a4 could come.
It's hard to imagine white will win this.
I don't know. But I was planning something like this, but somehow the way this played, I believed that I had to be winning here, but somehow it's just not quite coming together as well as I would have liked. For instance, here, after rook e6, b4 I think is a very strong move. Everything else should be lost.
I have a question about this position too.
Yes.
So let's see. Yeah, b4 was strong. So the next move, yeah,
Yeah, so
probably
b4,
you mentioned it.
and then here, rook e4 was almost trying to set a trap, actually. I was hoping for rook h5, and now rook g4 would fail to rook h3 and rook g3, and white is holding. But I believe that rook g to e2 is winning now, and now and only now, because rook e1 is coming. If king f1, here king h1 f2 wins, so he will have to let this happen. And well, I didn't see a concrete win per se, but I think this has to be lost.
Yeah. So after rook e4.
Then rook f1 I thought was critical.
Oh, here.
And now my point was that with this rook on h5, he no longer has rook c1, and after this, rook e2 is winning, because rook e1 there is f2 check, which I thought was quite clever. But unfortunately, Nico immediately slammed the best move with rook g1.
Wait. So instead of rook g1, actually, I had something I wanted to ask. What if you insert this intermediate check on c8? The point that after king h7, there is now rook g1, exactly. With the same idea, but now with the king on h7, you can go rook c7 later.
Yes, this could be. No, but the problem is rook g1, now I have this move, and now I win. Rook takes h2 is a threat, and this is winning. Check and f2.
Rook f1, yeah.
But lose this game.
Yeah, exactly.
But this trick also worked in the game. That's
Yeah.
why. That's
No, but that's the line that I want to mention.
Rook f. Okay, I missed rook f1. Okay, here I still shouldn't lose after king g2 like rook a1, but I will suffer for a draw.
And another variation, like if you go rook c8, king f7, which is an attempt to play for a win, rook a to c7, and it's not so easy to suggest a move for black because king g8, I have rook g1 as well, for the same reason.
Around here I thought white is holding. Maybe I had a win that I missed, but I didn't see it at least. I don't even think rook g1 is bad, but after rook a2 he absolutely needs this check right now. And this I think white should be okay. But after rook h5 is played, I think, I guess he must have just missed this idea, which was, I think, very nice. And, king
Sadly.
G2 is check, and king f2 and rook f4. So
How much time did you guys have back at the position after rook e4, or say
I
rook
had
a2?
maybe 10 minutes. You probably had 3 or 4. No, I mean I was, I guess, fortunate. I don't think I was ever really risking much, but I also don't think I should have won this game against proper
Like you
defense.
spent 6 minutes on the move rook a2 because you were really trying to find a way for a win, some trap,
well,
yeah?
I saw some idea that just almost worked, but not quite. I was hoping for this, falling for the same stupid trick, but
Rook f1. No, but rook takes g2.
Yeah.
It's better.
yeah, no, I would have fallen for the same stupid trick.
Yeah,
But
rook
I was
takes
like
g2.
calculating this and trying to find a win here with like rook g4, which is kind of goofy.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, the same thing always works. I missed the same motif, but even here, rook f1 also is holding. So it's just I couldn't find the way through, and I just sort of made a move just to make a move, and sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, in some cases. So, Dina, do you have a question regarding the...
So how do you feel, guys, after your first round here in Biel?
Well, obviously, I'm happy with the results. I don't know how clean the game was or anything, but well, it's good to start a tournament with a win. That hasn't happened for me in quite a while, particularly with black. So, yeah, it's a good start.
Yeah.
Nico?
Well, for me it's less good, but well, I think I played a good rapid tournament yesterday, so Sam is the top seed in this tournament, so it's obviously possible to lose against him even with the white pieces. No matter what, I will just keep playing normally, and tomorrow I'm facing Petr Leko with black, so it's just an ongoing tournament.
Yes, and just a question about psychology from your point of view, Nico. Like when you're playing a high-rated opponent, or say you would have the same position in the middle game against a low-rated opponent, would you play differently in a way? Does it affect your...
Maybe I wouldn't choose this line against a weaker rated opponent because it tends to be pretty drawish. So, well, I think I would just play the same move. Say,
Yeah.
if I assess the position as equal, yeah, I thought there was no better try than that.
Yeah. Okay, so Nico Georgiadis and Sam Shankland, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, guys.